Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a camera that's really been shaking things up a bit.
Hmm.
The Canon EOS R6 Mark II. It's getting called a mini R3, which sounds pretty impressive.
It does.
Promising, top-level performance, but maybe more accessible. But the real question, I think, for this deep dive is, can it actually deliver on that promise? Without cutting too many corners elsewhere.
That's exactly what we're here to unpack today. We're going to
Good.
dive into what makes this one stand out using insights from a really detailed review and the spec sheet itself.
Okay.
And the core thing, like you said, is how Canon seems to have ported that, well, frankly, world-class autofocus from the flagship R3
Right.
into a body that's, easier to carry and easier on the wallet.
So whether you're maybe a seasoned pro thinking about your next camera, or perhaps a videographer just starting out but wanting serious features, or maybe you're just curious about the latest camera tech, this deep dive should give you a shortcut, kind of to understanding why this R6 Mark II is, well, pretty significant. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, where does Canon actually position this in their whole full-frame lineup? Where does it sit? Is it creating a new kind of sweet spot?
That's a really good starting point.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely carves out its own space. Canon places it pretty squarely as a mid-range full frame.
Mid-range, okay.
Yeah, so it slots in right between the more affordable EOS R8
Right.
and the high-resolution powerhouse, the R5.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's really designed to give you that strong performance, but without needing the R5's massive megapixel count or, frankly, its price tag.
Makes sense.
And its 24-megapixel sensor, well, that puts it right up against competitors like the Panasonic S5 II, the Nikon Z6 II, both are 24MP too.
Okay.
The Sony A7 IV, that one's a bit different. It offers a higher 33-megapixel.
Right, I remember that.
Now, size-wise, it's about 3.9 by 5.4 by 3.5 inches.
Yeah.
Weighs 1.3 pounds without a lens.
So pretty standard full frame size then.
Exactly. It lines up very much with others in its class.
Yeah.
Makes it genuinely, carry-friendly.
Yeah.
That 1.3 pounds, it's not just a number, right?
No, it matters on a long day.
It really does. Less fatigue on long shoots, more agility when you're out there,
Yeah.
especially if you pair it with some of Canon's lighter RF lenses.
And speaking of the physical side, one thing you notice right away is the build quality seems pretty solid. It's got a magnesium body, dust, and splash protection.
Yeah.
That feels like a really welcome feature, especially since Canon sometimes, skips that on the lower end models.
Oh, absolutely. That
Yeah.
weather sealing is a huge plus for anyone shooting outdoors, definitely.
Yeah.
And as for how you can buy it, well, body only is $2,499 if you've already got lenses.
Okay.
Canon also does two kits. There's a starter bundle with the RF 24 105mm f4 7.1 IS STM lens. That's $2,799.
The variable aperture one.
Right. And then there's a more, let's say, upmarket option with the professional L series RF 24 105mm f4 LIS USM. That one bumps it up to $3,599.
Okay, so options there. But beyond the specs and the build, how does it actually feel to use the ergonomics? Did Canon just stick with what worked on the original R6, or did they make any clever little changes?
They mostly kept that R6 foundation, which was, already really good, very well liked.
Yeah, people seem to like it.
But yes, they definitely made some smart tweaks. I think the most obvious one, and one people will appreciate, is moving the power switch. It's gone from the left
Oh, yeah.
over to the right side of the top plate. And crucially, it also gained a lock position.
Ah.
So, if you've ever pulled your camera out and found settings changed,
Definitely happened to me,
yeah, that lock position is a small thing, but really practical. Photographers will love that.
for sure.
Beyond that, it's very Canon. That natural grip, the shutter release angle feels comfortable, the vertical front dial. Pretty standard Canon stuff.
Clean top plate, too.
Yeah, quite clean. And on the back, you get a good set of controls. There's a dedicated focus joystick, AF on button, other customizable buttons. Yeah. Lets you get really precise control without diving into menus too much.
And speaking of menus, navigating the settings sounds pretty straightforward, especially with the touch interface. What about the screens themselves, the LCD and the viewfinder?
Yeah, the displays are really quite good, very practical. The back screen is a 3-inch 1.62 million dot vari-angle touch LCD.
Vari-angle, so it flips out.
Exactly. Swivels, tilts, super useful for high or low angles, or even, vlogging or self-recording.
Right.
It's also bright enough for outdoor use, which is key.
Okay.
And it's noticeably sharper than some competitors, like the Sony A7 IV screen.
Okay. And the EVF.
The electronic viewfinder is excellent, too. It's a 3.7 million dot OLED panel, 0.76x magnification.
So comparable to others in the class.
Very much so.
Oh.
Right on par with the A7 IV and the Nikon Z6 II. And you can switch the refresh rate. Yeah, between 60 frames per second for like normal use or a smoother 120 fps. That's a big help if you're tracking really fast action.
I bet. Makes it easier to follow.
Definitely. And menu navigation, as you said, is intuitive. Touch works well. There's the Q menu overlay, full text menus. If you're a Canon user, it'll feel instantly familiar.
And for new users,
I think they'll appreciate how logically it's organized. Plus, you can customize things with the My Menu tab, which is always useful.
right. Okay, let's talk practical stuff. Power, connectivity, what battery are we using, and how does it hook up to things?
Power-wise, it uses Canon's standard LPE6NH battery. Pretty common.
Okay,
And good news, it supports in-camera charging via USB-C.
nice. Saves carrying a separate charger sometimes.
Exactly. For stills, the rating is about 580 shots using the LCD, or maybe 320 with the EVF. But honestly, with burst shooting, you often get way more than that.
Yeah, the cyber ratings can be conservative.
They often are. Connectivity, you've got USB-C, 3.5 millimeter jacks for both microphone and headphones,
Good.
plus a 2.5 millimeter remote port. Now, for video folks, there is one, potential downer, I'd say.
Uh-oh. What's that?
It uses a micro HDMI cord.
Oh, those are fragile.
They really are notoriously fragile, which is a shame because it can output 6K raw video externally,
Right.
but it's just not as robust as the full-size HDMI ports you find on competitors like the Panasonic S5 II or the Sony A7 V.
That's a fair point, especially for serious video work. What about memory cards?
It has dual UHS-2 SDXC card slots.
Okay, so fast SD cards.
Yeah, UHS-2 is important for keeping up with those burst speeds in high-res video. They're very capable slots.
I sense a but.
Well, it's just worth noting that some competitors, like Sony and Nikon, sometimes offer more flexible options. Like one slot might be SD and the other might take the even faster CF Express Type B or Type A cards.
Ah, right. For the absolute top-end speed.
Exactly, especially for sustained bursts or high bitrate video. But dual UHS-2 is still very good for this class. And of course, you have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi for connecting to your phone with the Canon Camera Connect app.
Standard stuff these days. Okay, we've covered the body, the handling, the practicals. Let's get to the heart of it, what many people are calling the real star, that autofocus system.
Yes, this is genuinely one of the camera's absolute killer features.
Why is it such a standout?
Mainly because it basically inherits the class-leading AF system directly from the much more expensive EOS R3.
The flagship. Wow.
Exactly. And what really sets it apart is how good the subject detection is. It can automatically figure out if it should be tracking a person, an animal, or even a vehicle.
Automatically, so you don't have to tell it.
Not always, no. That's a big step up from competitors like the Sony A7 IV, where you often do have to manually pick the subject type first.
That sounds way more convenient.
It really is. I mean, I was testing it, trying to photograph some really skittish songbirds, deep in the bushes.
Tricky subject.
Very. And the way it just locked on and tracked them through all that clutter, even when they were darting around.
Yeah.
It was honestly remarkable. It's the kind of AF that just makes your job easier, makes you more confident you'll get the shot, and the speed itself. Blisteringly fast. With native RF lenses, even with older EF lenses on an adapter, it just locks focus with very little hunting or hesitation.
Okay, that sounds seriously impressive.
Yeah.
So with all that smarts, how does it actually perform when you just want sheer speed? Burst rates, mechanical versus electronic shutter.
Yeah, the performance here is really top-notch for its class. With the mechanical shutter, you get solid 12 frames per second.
Okay.
And that's capturing full 14-bit RAW files, which means you get tons of data for editing later, great dynamic range, color flexibility.
Right. But the electronic shutter is where the speed really is.
Oh, yeah. Switch to the electronic shutter, and it jumps to a blazing 40 frames per second.
40? Wow. Any issues with rolling shutter distortion at that speed?
That's often a concern with traditional CMOS sensors using an E-shutter, especially compared to stacked sensors. But the R6 Mark II actually does a surprisingly excellent job of suppressing that motion distortion. It's really quite well controlled.
That's great to hear. What about the buffer? Can it keep up with 40p's?
It does pretty well. You can shoot about 158 JPGs, or maybe 138 of the compressed RAW files, before it slows down.
Okay.
If you're shooting full quality uncompressed RAW, you're looking at around 70 photos in a burst, which at 40 fps is nearly 2 seconds of continuous action. You want a fast STX card, obviously, but yeah, the buffer is quite capable.
That's pretty solid. Okay, shifting gears a bit. For the videographers listening, this camera seems to have some strong specs on paper. Stabilized 4K 60, 10-bit internal. What else should they know?
It's definitely a very capable video camera.
Yeah.
So yes, internal 10-bit 4K up to 60p, but it can also output 12-bit 4.2.26K RAW over that micro HDMI port we mentioned.
Right, the fragile port.
The fragile port, yes. But the capability is there for external recorders. That's serious quality for pro workflows.
What about slow motion?
Yep, it does 1080p, so full HD at up to 180 frames per second. Gives you really nice, smooth slow-mo.
Nice.
And a key benefit for its 4K quality is something called oversampling.
Oversampling? Explain that.
Basically, the camera reads out a 6K signal from the sensor and then intelligently downsizes it to produce the final 4K footage.
Ah, so it's using more data than it strictly needs.
Exactly. And that process results in noticeably sharper, more detailed 4K video compared to cameras that might use techniques like line skipping or pixel binning, which can sometimes soften the image, so you get cleaner, more professional-looking results.
That makes sense. Any specific picture profiles for grading?
Yep. It includes C-Log 3, which gives you that flat, low-contrast profile that's ideal for color grading in post-production, maximizing dynamic range.
Good. And does it separate photo and video settings? That's always useful.
Yes, it does. Which is a huge plus because your ideal exposure settings for stills are often totally different from video.
Definitely. Saves a lot of fiddling.
For sure. One minor quirk that the review mentioned. After you use the high frame rate slow motion mode,
Yeah.
the camera apparently resets itself back to standard 1080p at 60 fps for regular video recording.
Oh, really? So if you were shooting in 4K before?
You'd have to remember to manually switch it back to 4K after using slow-mo. A little annoying, maybe, but not a deal breaker. Just something to be aware of.
Good to know. Okay, finally, let's touch on something crucial for any camera system. The lenses. Canon's RF system, it's been around since 2018, right? It's grown quite a bit.
It has grown, yes. There's a pretty wide range of lenses now covering different focal lengths and, importantly, different price points, from consumer zooms to high-end L-series primes.
There's a but here, too, isn't there? Something about third-party lenses.
Ah, yes. This is a really critical point potential buyers need to understand.
Yeah.
There's very limited third-party autofocus lens support for the RF mount.
Why is that?
Because Canon has, well, actively blocked other companies, think Sigma, Tamron, Viltrox, from producing autofocus lenses for RF.
Block them? How?
It seems to be through a combination of technical means and likely patent enforcement or licensing restrictions. The end result is if you want autofocus on an RF camera like the R6 Mark II, you're pretty much limited to Canon's own RF lenses.
Wow. That's a significant limitation.
It really is. It's a major strategic difference compared to, say, Sony's E-mount, which has a huge, thriving ecosystem of excellent third-party autofocus lenses from Sigma, Tamron, Samyang, and others.
So what does that mean for someone considering this camera?
It means you need to weigh the R6 Mark II strengths, like that amazing autofocus in video, against the long-term flexibility and potential cost savings of the lens system. Canon's native RF lenses are generally fantastic, no question.
But expensive sometimes.
They can be, especially the L-series glass. And third-party options often provide great performance at much lower prices or offer unique focal lengths or features not available from the first-party manufacturer.
Right.
So for you, the listener, if having access to a wide variety of affordable, high-quality third-party lenses is a high priority, then maybe a system like Sony's, perhaps looking at the A7 IV again, might actually be a more sensible long-term choice. Despite the R6 II's other advantages, it's a crucial factor to consider.
Okay, so summing up then, we've seen the Canon EOS R6 Mark II really bring some incredible tech down from the flagship level. That autofocus, the tracking, boosted by that smart subject recognition. It seems genuinely impressive for both stills and video.
Yeah, it really delivers on that Mini R3 idea in many ways.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why it earned that Editor's Choice Award. It hits a real sweet spot for enthusiast photographers and videographers.
Absolutely. But as we just discussed, there is that significant catch, the closed lens mount limiting third-party choices. So the final thought for you, the listener, is this. When you're looking at a camera system, how much do those cutting-edge features, like the R6's AF, weigh against the long-term flexibility, the cost, the sheer choice offered by a more open lens ecosystem? What stands out most to you about how this specific camera balances that amazing cutting-edge tech with those, well, system-specific limitations? Something to definitely mull over.